All right. Okay, we have no guests I'm seeing. All right. Citizens Forum, I see no one either. All right, I'll go for a motion to approve the agenda.
I move.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the agenda.
All right.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right. All right, the minutes from last meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes or any changes?
I'll motion that we approve the minutes from last meeting.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, so activity reports.
Going through some things that occurred in the month of September that we reported on for this month. I'll pick up some highlights, and if you have questions about any other of the items on the activity report, please feel free to ask. Several of our park staff attended a trail building and maintenance workshop about our trails here. We have approximately 20 miles of trails in the city of Salina now, and we keep on adding more through various engineering projects. So we wanted to be on top of the latest trends and training related to that.
I had a question. What is the picture on the Parks Accomplishment section of the?
That is the group of individuals who attended the training. There was about 5 of our staff members who went to that training. It was a training available to all Kansas Recreation Park Association members. So those aren't all our staff. Those are 5 of those or so were our staff, but those are other members of Kansas Recreation Park Associations.
So it's not, I should not be trying to recognize that spot.
No, it was in Council Grove,
Thank you.
around Manhattan, were some of those pictures that were taken. The aeration, we added a fountain to the Jerry Ivy Pond, which that fountain was there previously. We had removed it temporarily, but we put it back to try to increase water movement and aeration, so we can allow that device that we had on the pond to do a better job of reducing blue-green algae. We did get a report in the early part of this month from KDHE. In about a month and a half to 2 months time frame, there was in the August test they did, there was 5 million algae cells that were counted as part of their test. In the test they did in early part of October, there was 1 million cells, so it went down considerably. And I want to report that. Under forestry, we did do a lot of tree removal via a contractor from park trees and various city trees. There was a storm that occurred where we had significant limbs drop across the city, and several of our staff members helped out with a limb pickup that was citywide. They assisted the street department and went through different zones of the city to try to pick up those limbs. Let's see. Cemetery had a few improvements. One improvement, notably, in the last December, we had a windstorm that occurred, if you recall that. Matter of fact, that windstorm occurred when we had a Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting that night. And we had a damage occur to a shelter that was part of a memorial at the cemetery that got damaged then. And we recently ordered that new structure, new shelter, and there's an image on the activity reports of that new shelter, and that's called the Charles Hyde Memorial. That was a very somewhat old structure that was there that got damaged from the wind, and it was ordered. The lead time to receive that was quite a bit. It's a steel structure. Cemetery staff got that installed recently. There's also another thing that's at the cemetery that's been ordered. There is a database, a computer-based database for the inventory of all the burials and the cemetery. That unit is approximately, it's older than 10 years old, and when I think of computer technology lasting greater than 2 years, it's quite an accomplishment. So that unit lasted 10 years, and that is being replaced with a more modern computer program database, more color, touchscreen. So that's going to be hopefully. I don't know the lead time on that, but hopefully within the next few months we'll have that installed.
Jeff, on the memorial, why are we responsible for replacing it?
It's at the City Cemetery, at Gypsum Hill Cemetery.
But the city owns that memorial?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're responsible for the care of it. I'm assuming we own it, yes. I don't know the history on that, Larry, but that's a great question. I wouldn't mind
I mean,
finding
there's
out
a lot
the
of things
history
at
about
the cemetery that I wouldn't think we'd be responsible for, so.
Right. Good question. Let me find that out. Lakewood trails we had some Lakewood trails that had been flooded, and we were able to reopen those recently. Staff is preparing for the community Halloween party at the end of October. It's at the Salina Fieldhouse. And then we have 2 special events upcoming as well. They're held at Tony's Pizza Event Center for Christmas and for New Year's. This is the time of year, whether it be September, October, that we see a lot of things that we transfer from outdoor programming to indoor programming. We start shutting down and winterizing things. Our splash pads were winterized and closed at the end of September. The 3 splash pads that we have at 3 parks were closed. It's not part of this report, but in the month of October, we start doing irrigation shutdown, purging of water from those irrigation lines. It's all depending on the current temperatures. And as you know, the last 2 days, we've had some nighttime temperatures that are starting to get below freezing. So it's only going to get colder from here. So we want to start that process of winterizing some of our seasonal use bathrooms and irrigation systems. Golf course, since the driving range had been closed for some period of time because of that windstorm that caused, in December, that caused damage to the netting around that golf course. That has been up for a few months now and been very busy since then. I'll let Travis speak about the field house if he wishes, because there was a few notable things that I want to make sure the advisory board knows. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, September for indoor and outdoor, we're busy. We're really busy. We got a lot going on outdoors, and then it starts picking up indoors. And if you guys don't know, we utilize the same staff for field house and outdoors. So we're stretched, but we get the job done. Just a few items to note. We had 17 teams for outdoor soccer, and it's kind of amazing that that program was once down to 3 teams. So if Dave Atterkirk was sitting here, kudos to him, because, going from 3 when he inherited to 17 is something to speak of. Adult softball, we did offer that. That's the first time we offered it since COVID, and we're running that as we speak, and we have 19 teams with that. And at one time, we used to offer that spring, summer, late summer, fall, huge program for us. And the moving forward, we only foresee offering it in the fall because of the shortage of officials. And hopefully you guys have been seeing that. It's nationwide. It's not just in Salina, Kansas, but that is the primary reason why we are only offering that in the fall. So, and speaking of softball, we did have our 2, they call them Fun Fall Finale before the turf tournaments at Bill Burke. We had 72 teams in those 2 tournaments, and they kind of gave it a little special name in anticipation of the turf, and Jeff will speak to that here later on in the meeting. Adult volleyball, we have 4 seasons for that, around that 20-some teams in each season. That's pretty good. It's pretty solid. And then our youth volleyball this fall, we had 23 teams, and they play on Sundays at the field house. That's up 13 teams. We run a flag football over there on the turf too, and those kids eat it up. They're in their NFL jerseys, NFL flags. It's an NFL-sponsored program that we do, and we had to cap it at 8 teams because of shortage of officials. So we could have got more, but we have to cap it at 8.
Is there no trouble getting officials for the volleyball? 4 seasons a year?
Our adult volleyball seems pretty solid. And then some youth volleyball, we officiate them. We haven't had as much problems with volleyball, still issues. And then your club volleyball is self-officiated by the kiddos. So they kind of get away with that a little bit there, and there's a shortage. I asked Gwen about that before I came over here. There's still a shortage, but not as much as you would see in baseball, softball, some of your other sports that are really, basketball, football, really hurting.
Thank you.
Smoky Valley Homeschool, they literally just got done with their season of volleyball. All the practices and games were in the field house, and basketball is going to be the same. So I think they kind of made a home in there. And then we do host a few XWE wrestling events in there you should be aware of. It's a little different activity than we normally host, but they've filled in some weekends for us, and it's a good activity. It's pretty neat. That's about all I got.
So in KW and the Smoky Valley Homeschool and XWE use our facilities, do you charge for that?
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping that was what I'd hear, yeah.
Last report was from Facilities Maintenance Division, and we have 2 divisions under Facilities Maintenance, custodial and maintenance, building maintenance. We have, and the interesting note is just, if I haven't said this before, for our Facilities Maintenance Division not only services Parks and Recreation, but services every department within the city of Salina. So some of the notable things that accomplishments from September, we had such a significant problem with our locker area at Kenwood Cove. The lockers that sit in that corner at Kenwood Cove were kind of an invitation for bad behavior. So we took those lockers out of that space and removed them throughout the facility. They assisted with that, or they actually made that happen. Framing some framing walls at the Lakewood Discovery Center, and so the city police department building, we had a new boiler installation and went from an older 1963 boiler to a more modern boiler for heat for that building. So I want to highlight those. So, for facilities maintenance.
I have a question about I'm going back to the Lakewood Pond. Is there an ultimate goal there? What is I know it keeps coming up, but what is the city trying to do with that pond?
You said Lakewood
I'm sorry,
Pond?
Jerry Ivy, I apologize.
Well, as we're, public servants, we want to do what the community would like to do. The ultimate goal is to discover what is the best course of action to take to make sure we have a long-term solution for the water quality issues of that pond, make an attractive space for the community to use, to not be a significant maintenance burden for whatever we design and put in. And
so has anything been approved, like as far as the designs that were presented to us?
So you're talking about a year ago
Yeah,
designs?
a year ago, yeah.
Thank you. I was just trying to think of recent designs. We are actually in the process of going through that process, but with a different twist.
Oh.
So we, as I reported last month, the water balance study that was done and the water depth survey that was done showed that there's not enough watershed that would provide naturally available water to that pond. If you recall, the ratio was for every 1 acre of pond, you need 10 acres of watershed. We have a watershed of about 2.5 acres for a 3/4 acre pond. So we either would need to make a choice there for to reduce the size of that pond significantly by 2/3, or increase the amount of water coming to it that naturally feeds it. The area, as you probably are aware, Jerry Ivy Pond, there's not really a natural resource where we can capture a lot of water in the park without doing significant modifications to the entire space. Also, what I shared with you last month was the depth. The original design was to be between 2.5 to 5 feet deep. We have sediment buildup of that between 1 foot to 2 feet of sediment. I think I said 1.5 feet of sediment. So quite a bit of sediment on the bottom that's built up over the course of 26 years of that pond being in service. So we have some issues we need to take care of. So the thought process is we're looking at a proposal from, we have not approved that proposal at this time, but we have a proposal from a engineering and design firm to do a kind of an expanded visual preference survey, whether that be a smaller lake, no lake, or a fountain, or some type of water feature that would be in that space. And then from there, we would look at it on a staff level. We would look at it on a study session level with commissioners, and that's where your involvement would be as well at an advisory board meeting. And then we would also do a community survey to kind of show some different options, because I guess I'm being kind of bold here, but the fact that the watershed that's existing can't serve that pond leads me to believe that maybe that's not the ideal location for a future pond. Maybe we'll find another one. I'm speculating, and but those are some of the questions that are going to come up by other people. And then the depth, I think I also shared that the costs to solve that issue were closer to $1 million. So we want to make sure we have all the information we need. We want to get the community feedback before we move forward. So those designs could be incorporated into a future visual preference design, but it's going to be with the understanding that we're solving the depth issue, the watershed issue, the brick wall that's failing issue, the maintenance concern issue, and what the community wants to use Jerry Ivy Pond for. Does that answer your question, Matt?
Yes. So I was just, I mean, it's been going on for a long, we had the study about over a year ago.
It was a little over a year ago, you're right.
So I was just kind of curious if, so I know during that study, or they had a survey and people chose like to reduce the size of it. Isn't that what the consensus, or the majority?
The majority was 50-ish percent, 50 to 55% chose to keep the lake as is. Approximately 30% chose to have a lake that was smaller, so smaller in size. Of those 5 options that were available.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you know what the mural was that was installed at the Smoky Hill Museum?
That's a great question. I do not know.
Okay. I just wondered if it was inside or outside or.
Troy, are you available to answer that question, Troy?
I believe that was a mural that was taken down from the River Festival and placed up in the Arts and Humanities hallway.
In the hallway?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah, this is my second meeting, so on the track facilities August expense report, 6 out of the group doesn't report to Parks and Rec, so how do you keep them on task or in manage, how do you handle their expenses? I mean, do you slap them on the
I
hand?
do.
Who slaps them on the hand when they're spending more of their budget than they're supposed to?
The departments that are not under Parks and Recreation, I don't have any involvement with that at all.
But you have to manage it, right? The dollar?
We're just reporting the expenses that are going through the facilities maintenance division.
Because that falls underneath the facilities maintenance division falls underneath Parks and Rec.
Right.
Because you got like utilities and all that kind of stuff there. So if they get out of their budget, then someone else is the one that
We use
them
this
corralled or-
we use this graphic to report also to the city commission with,
Okay.
and we report it as part of his division.
I was just curious because I wouldn't want to manage it. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah. This report does not indicate to me that they're out of line. It's just reporting the actuals.
Yeah. But
Not,
still,
not as compared to any other.
but they have a budget. And
parameter.
they're supposed to hold to it, and if they keep their air conditioning on and they shouldn't and stuff like that. I mean, that's just, I know it's minor stuff. I was just kind of curious how you manage that.
I think I manage it by providing the report.
That's what I wanted.
But the Parks and Rec portions, yes.
Yeah.
That's the, Kenwood Cove, for example, that utility expense is
So, yeah, 4 of them,
traditionally
yeah.
high.
Yeah, 4 more years. So
Yeah. But if it's something that's abnormal from that, yeah.
All right, any other questions? All right, moving on to new business. No new business.
No new business. There was something on the agenda. It got pulled 2 weeks ago, so.
All right, then old business.
I wanted to give some updates regarding Bill Burke. Last Monday, Travis and I presented at City Commission to award a bid to a turf construction company and also to enter into a contract with them. There were 6 bids that were provided on October 6th for a scope of work that was for this initial scope of work, which is the infield turf at Bill Burke Park. And there's quite a bit of square footage that will be done. So the bidders were very interested. We had 6 bids total. They all beat, 5 of the 6 bids beat the engineer's estimates, which was fascinating to me. The winning bid, when I say winning bid, was the lowest bid. The bid that was awarded was from a company in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, who has done considerable amount of work in Nebraska for the University of Nebraska. They also did a few different parks around Kansas, I believe. And so that was on Monday that we award that. Commission did vote to award that bid and enter into a contract with them. So we're getting ready to proceed with that. We have a number of documents that need to be completed, insurance and bonding that need to occur. We anticipate within the next 3 weeks, maybe early November, that we'll have a pre-construction meeting with them. And then hopefully very quickly afterwards, they can mobilize to start work at Bill Burke to start preparing for under drainage and new synthetic turf at the infields of Bill Burke Park. Very excited. And the bids came back favorably. We had a budget that we've been working with for the Bill Burke project, and the bids came back favorably enough that we have a budget remainder so we can go after additional projects after ball season next year, after the season's over. So that includes fences, improving fencing and increasing that fence height, repairing backstops and dugouts. Also includes a drainage project at Berkeley Family Recreational Area that we need to divert water away from the ball fields, and some other small things in there, score tables, things like that. maybe add some trees, things like that. Obviously, I think some of you might be thinking it right now, because I'm thinking it right now, is are we going to be able to complete this in a timely manner so we can have a season next year? The answer is I don't know what the weather's going to be. Our intent is to, the date in which the contractor has for substantial completion is March 1st. So we're going to hold them to that. Weather obviously could cause delays. Very exciting. Salina tennis update. They are nearing the end of their construction project for our partnership with Salina Tennis Alliance. What's remaining is for them to do the acrylic surfacing, which would be a U.S. Open color, blue and greens. I believe it's blue and green. Whatever the color is of U.S. Open. They chose U.S. Open colors, U.S. Open for tennis, as what they, of their color choices for those courts. As soon as the weather warms up and they get some nighttime temperatures that are a little more reasonable than we have today and yesterday, they will start painting the acrylic surface on those courts, and then they'll put up exterior fencing that would surround the site, and they're almost done. So it's very exciting.
Is there a time frame for the bathhouse that turns into the clubhouse?
There is no current timeline for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
There is an adjacent former concession space. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that concession space. That's at the old Kenwood. So I almost call it Kenwood Cove, but Salina Municipal Pool. There was a concession space that has 2 bathrooms. That is operational. That is an operational city bathroom, and those 2 bathrooms are functioning and open to the public. We have some additional repairs or remodel that we need to do in those spaces as part of our bathroom improvement project, but those are available.
All right, any general announcements?
I don't have anything.
All right, well, we are down to adjournment. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
And a second? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope.